Hi, this is Lainey Cameron. I am here with Laura Drake, and I've wanted to get Laura on the show forever because I'll tell you guys a little story. The first time I met Laura, I was starstruck because I had studied Laura's writing in Margie Lawson's classes for like, I don't know, a year. And then I'm face to face with like the Rita Award winning Laura Drake. And no one, everybody who knows me knows I don't easily get starstruck, but you may be the only author I ever actually got starstruck in front of.
And you may be the only person who has ever starstruck meeting me.
So I love that we're going to talk about your women's fiction books because you write both. You write romance and you write women's fiction. You're very successful with romance, but I know that your heart is in your women's fiction novels. And this one is fabulous, The Road to Me. So first off, where are you joining me from, Laura? Are you in Texas right now?
I am outside of Fort Worth, Texas. Yep.
So this book came out last week and it's funny and witty and poignant. Folks won't have had a chance to read it yet, so tell them a little bit more about The Road to Me.
It is brutal and sad and hysterically funny, and it's a little bit of everything. Let me give you the quick blurb on it. The universe conspires to set a young woman on a Route 66 road trip with the hippie grandmother she bitterly resents. But what she discovers out there could open her to a brighter future.
And I love that, like the beginning of the book. So she goes off to save the hippie grandma, like against her will. She doesn't really want to go, right? She doesn't want to go save grandma. And grandma basically got busted, right? And she couldn't escape fast enough because she couldn't run with her walker. This grandma character, Nellie, is like one of the best, like older generation characters ever. She's brilliant. She's witty. She's sarcastic. She is not willing to be put in a box that says you're an old person, therefore this is how you should be. I just loved how you wrote that character.
I want to be Nellie when I get older.
Right. So the inspiration, because this is such an interesting mix of things, right? You've got like the older grandma, you got the granddaughter, you got the road trip element to it. You've even got a goat in a convertible at one point. Like, where did all of this come from and how did it come together?
You know, I don't know where it comes from. A lot of all of my books come from my experiences riding a motorcycle in the Western United States. My husband and I have been probably 200,000 miles on motorcycles. And some of the crazy things that happen on the road, and I wanted two very different opposing characters. And that's how the hippie grandma came up. And she was just so fun to write. And the goat in the convertible, I can't even take credit for. A friend of mine, Sherry Gross, we were at a writing retreat. And I said, you know, things have been really heavy for a while in the book. I need some humor. She says, you know, I always wanted to put a goat in a convertible in a book. And I went, oh, let me steal that. So give her the props for that one.
Well, let me read a quick review. This is an endorsement from Kimberly Brock, an amazing writer too, who was actually on the show last week. And let me read this because I think it really encapsulates really well the tone of the novel. She says, Laura Drake is at her best with The Road to Me. Readers will enjoy her gritty, tender characters and her trademark wit, even as she strikes at the heart of the most savage traumas and deepest loves. Drake delivers a brave piece of women's fiction with unwavering poignancy, deft depictions of abuse, grief, and what women do in secret to survive. I came away uplifted by the clear reminder of the power of stories to create bonds that heal in even the most fractured families. Wow, that's beautiful. And it captures it so well because the reason I was starstruck the first time we met is you are the author who knows how to get that emotion on the page. And like your books draw you in and you're like so captivated by the emotion of the character. And that's hard to do. It's a real skill that you have.
You know, thank you. But that part comes natural to me. If you know me, you know that I'm likely to say anything. If you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it. So that telling of emotion is how I connect with people. It was
Mhm.
the rest of the stuff that of the book that's hard for me, is the plot and what happens next. And I'm a little weird.
So what does your editing process look like? And is there anything in this book that people might be surprised to know, like, was different in earlier versions?
My goal is to write a book, edit as I go, and then turn it in. It's never
Good
happened.
luck.
It's never going to happen, but it's a goal. This one, though, was the opposite of that. I mean, I wrote it, I loved it, and I sent it out to beta readers and editors who thought that the main character, Jacqueline, was way too unpersonable, that she was
Mm.
really unlikable. I made her an ice queen, which I thought was wonderful because she changes so much at the end. But they had thought she was too unlikable in the beginning and people would throw the book across the room. So I had to soften her.
Well, I wonder if part of that was the contrast with Nellie, the grandma character, because she is so easy to relate to, right? Like, who doesn't love a grandma
Yeah,
who's like a
I had
total
a hard
hippie living
time.
her hippie life?
Yes, I had a hard time because the grandmother wanted to take over the story. Everybody
Right.
was in love with the grandmother and really didn't care about the main character. And that is not a good thing in a novel. So, yeah, it was a real
So,
balancing act.
what's an example of what you had to change in the main character in as Jacqueline, right? What did you have to change in her to make her more relatable?
Um, in the beginning, she is going out with an artist, and I fell in love with him, frankly. But she could not let him close. She didn't let anybody close, much less a man. And she breaks up with him in a fairly brutal way. And I had to change that. I get it. I think it personally, part of it was, if he wasn't attached, maybe I had a shot.
You wanted your own character. I
Yeah,
love that.
that doesn't sound good when I say it out loud, does it?
Why not? I mean, we all create book boyfriends because they're the one we want, right? With little
There
parts
you
of the
go.
people we love. Yeah.
Yes.
So, what do you advise to writers? And you do so much to help other writers. You and I know each other through Women's Fiction Writers Association. Like, what do you advise to writers who would like to one day be a Rita Award winning writer of amazing romance and women's fiction?
My favorite piece of advice I got when I was first starting out, from a woman who had put out like 70 romances. And she told me, take your time. Don't be in a hurry to publish, because right now, you don't realize it, but right now is the best time, because you have time to play and time to learn. And at the time I thought, yeah, lady, right. I want to sell more than anything. Now I look back and she was right. And even saying this, I know no one will listen to me, because I wouldn't have believed it either.
I do see what you're saying though, because a lot of my debut friends are on their second and third novels right now, and they're on deadline. And you just don't have that same flexibility when you've got a deadline and you're delivering either in your head or in reality, right? To be able to do all the
Exactly.
playing around that you would like to do because you've got a hard line and you need to get it that done by that date. And so you kind of have to compromise on the things you would have liked to work on. I definitely see that happening.
And I think that's why debut novels are so fantastic, because you have time to play and edit every word perfectly. And I'm not saying that you don't do some of that with your later books, but you can't do it with every word. There's just not
Right.
enough time.
That's so true. That's so true. Well, what books or authors do you admire? Have you read anything good recently that you'd recommend?
Barbara O'Neill is my
Of
number
course.
one fave. I just read her most recent, Write My Name Across the Sky. Have you read that yet?
I haven't read it yet. I actually have it on my Kindle. I'm excited to read it.
Move it up. It is, her characters are so real, and it's set in New York, in one of those old brownstone apartments, but it's one of the old fabulous ones. Oh, the emotion and the real character, she always just slays me.
Yeah, she
And
is
let's see,
one of the best out there in women's fiction.
She's amazing. Charles Martin is the other one. When Crickets Cry, what a fantastic title, huh? That was the best book I read last year. It was wonderful.
Ooh. And if folks want to learn more about Barbara's approach and her writing advice, she actually was on the podcast way back in the beginning. You could find her interview on the website. And she was fabulous. She had such great advice for other writers as well, including some great thoughts around finding your voice and listening to what people say you're good at, because that's what you should double down on. That's what I remember about her.
Oh, that's great advice.
Yeah.
She's amazing.
So what haven't I asked you about relative to The Road to Me that you like to talk about this book?
I have to say that I am so proud of the book trailer I made.
Ooh.
You know, I've made them before, and they were the little flip books with subtitles on them and everything, and they're cute, but I actually used film clips and I voice-overed on it, and I just love it. I'm a promo hoe anyway. I love marketing. I love promo. So
you might be one of the few authors who actually enjoys that part of it.
I know everybody says that, but well, you probably like it too, right?
I do.
Yeah, I'm very extroverted and I love talking. So
although I have more fun talking about other people's books than my own, is there anything else in the book that people might be surprised to know is real or inspired from real life? Like, you've got this real road trip across a real place, right? Route 66. Are any of those real places or experiences you've been, like you say, on the motorbike?
Oh man, a lot. Well, the experiences are maybe shadows of things I did. Like there's a outdoor bar scene, and I have been. That was from Oatman. If you've ever been there, you'll never forget it. They have burros, wild burros, wandering into the buildings downtown.
Whoa.
And
okay, what's a burro? I actually don't know what that is.
Oh, sorry, it's a donkey.
Oh, burros. Sorry, like Mexican burros. Yes.
yeah. Burros. Yeah. A lot of those places, and the emotional scene in the book, the really brutal one, never happened to me, but thank God. But I channel a lot of the old stuff, you know, down here.
What about the nudist camp that they end up at, that the granddaughter is totally
on record? I have never been to a nudist camp, and everybody is very thankful for that. But I would love to have the guts to do it, just to let go of all the inhibitions. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and it's a brilliant plot / setting device you chose there, because talk about a place to get the granddaughter who does not feel comfortable with the hippiness of her grandma feeling even less comfortable is why not take her to a nudist colony?
There you go. What would be worse for her, right?
Exactly.
But I will admit I have skinny dipped.
Oh, there you go.
Probably surprises no one, but
so if folks want to catch up with you and learn more about your next book or see what kind of events you're doing around this book, where do you hang out online? Do you have a favorite place to be on social media?
Well, to find out where I'm at and what's going on, if you'll sign up for my newsletter, which is on my website, lauradrakebooks.com. But I hang out and craziness ensues on my Facebook group. It's called Laura Drake's Peace, Love, and Books. And it's just a group of like 2,000 people that I post snark every day. I've ended up in jail many times because of it. We just have a blast.
You mean Facebook jail, not real jail, right?
Oh yeah. No, not real jail, Facebook jail. But I'll tell you what, it's almost as inconvenient. I did not realize how addicted I was to Facebook until I was in jail for a month. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's
Is
as
that because of
horrible
one
as
of the
you can
funny
imagine.
memes you post? Because you post these really funny memes. Like your grip just cheers me up no end when I'm having kind of a crappy kind of a day. There's always something funny going on in your grip that just like
Yes.
brightens my day.
It was one of those memes that landed me in jail. Computers have
on.
no sense of humor whatsoever.
Oh, that is true. That is true. Okay, so I am going to put in the show notes on the website. So if people go to bestofwomensfiction.com, on the page for this episode, we'll put the link to the video trailer that you're so proud of, to your Facebook group, and to your newsletter sign up. So folks can find all of that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Lainey.
Well, I'm so glad I finally got to have you on. The road to me is beautiful and funny and poignant and heartfelt and witty. It's all the things you want in an escapist book. So I would encourage folks to go read it. I was lucky enough to get an early copy, and it's fun. It's so much fun, and I'm glad you're proud of it because it's a great book.
Thank you so much.
Take care, Laura.
Bye-bye.